Hi, Founder fans. Jason here, and today's founder is Elisha Perkins, whose disease curing invention was essentially snake oil, but it led to some magnificent scientific discoveries. Let's get into it. Elijah Perkins' father founded the Connecticut Medical Society, and Perkins followed in his father's footsteps and became a doctor himself. During the Revolutionary War, Perkins actually served as a surgeon in the Continental Army. He was assisting wounded soldiers as early as the siege of Boston. Now, after the war ended, Perkins went to his medical practice and spent about 15 years just practicing medical in private, but he had a few ideas that he thought were very clever, and he came up with in the mid 1790s what was called the metallic tractor. Now, these metallic tractors were said to cure absolutely everything. They were two rods. One was made of brass, one was made of iron, and they were basically the size and shape of a pencil. And this is actually an image, a cartoon making fun of it next to me, where they would rub the brass one on your wound, and then they'd rub the iron one on your wound, and poof, your wound is healed or your disease is cured. And it would cure gout and inflammation, back pain, just the longest list. Probably shouldn't have used the term wound. It wouldn't heal like an open wound, but many, many ailments. It would just cure. It was amazing. He even had people like George Washington and Chief Justice John Ellsworth both met this man and supported what he was doing. He would make a fortune selling them across the United States and even into Europe. Even though they cost essentially a month's salary for your average person, people would buy them because they would get healed of so many diseases. It was miraculous, right? Well, why don't we use it today? Well, because it wasn't that miraculous. In fact, Elijah Perkins had critics right away. As soon as he started promoting this, many doctors in the medical field were like, what are you talking about? In fact, the Connecticut Medical Society, the exact organization his father started, kicked him out because his experiments were incomplete. There was nothing proving this worked. But he was making money. In fact, he sent his son Benjamin to Europe and was the one selling it over to Europe. He became an overnight success. Now, Perkins, riding the wave, decided, well, I have another cure. We are going to get back to the tractors, but let's finish Perkins' life first. He says, you know what else is terrible? Smallpox. And it was. Smallpox was the scourge of 18th century America. And Perkins decides, well, I'm going to cure smallpox. So he comes up with an antiseptic, which consisted of vinegar, salt, and water. Now, unlike his first invention, this one didn't work because as soon as he came up with this idea, there was an outbreak in New York City, a pretty terrible outbreak of smallpox in New York City. So Perkins goes there, catches smallpox, and dies pretty much right away because, well, vinegar, salt, and water did not cure smallpox, still probably don't. But what's really fascinating about the story of Elijah Perkins is not his life, but the fallout from it. See, there was a London physician named John Haygarth who, side note, had done work to actually reduce the spread and mortality rate of smallpox. He didn't know what was going on with these metal tractors that Perkins had made so much money selling. Why were they working? It doesn't make sense. You're just rubbing iron and brass on and it heals it somehow? That doesn't make any sense. So he had an idea. He built two tractors of his own made out of wood. But he designed them to look and feel exactly like the brass and metal ones. And then he went and used his fake metal tractors on patients. And what do you know? Those patients also felt better. And after several years of study, Haygarth publishes a book called On the Imagination as a Cause and as a Cure of Disease of the Body. And this book is the first one to discuss what we now call the placebo effect. The idea that if you think you're being treated, even if you're not, your mind can actually help heal you of diseases and ease your pain because you think you're being treated and cured. So Elijah Perkins, his snake oil that was his metal tractors, end up leading to the study of and the creation of the idea of the placebo effect, which we now know is pretty common. It's in TV shows all the time. And not only the placebo effect itself, but it's led to 200 years of study of how the brain affects diseases, how the brain affects not just the ailment, but the pains themselves, the symptoms themselves. A lot of this can actually be traced back to the sneaky invention of Elisha Perkins. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hit like. If you're new here, subscribe for a new founder all week long, and trivia on Friday. So definitely come for that. Thank you so much.